The Avengers revealed at last the origin of T'Challa. The mighty Avengers, look homeward, Avenger. We are home, back from the parallel Earth of the Squadron Supreme, and our planet seems as peaceful as it gets these days. And yet, how long before some new menace arises to threaten an already troubled world? You're too morbid, Vision. This is time for rejoicing. Tea is served, gentlemen and Miss Wanda. Yeah, Viz, I know that even an android can cry, but can't you yoke it up a little too? Speaking of morbidity, T'Challa, which nobody was, I know it's not exactly a crime to walk around without a wall to wall smile, but if there's anything I can do to put a grin on that long face of yours, nothing, Iron Man, but thanks. I guess I'm just suffering from a malady that hits us all sooner or later, a little bug called homesickness. You're homesick for that jungle version of Disneyland you hail from? If I had known, I'd have bought you a tsetse fly to perk you up. Loneliness, the longing for distant friends, can strike at any unwary heart, Goliath, as Thor well knows, who hath dwelt among the shimmering spires of eternal Asgard. But perhaps there are worse things than loneliness, Avenger. What was uh, what of one who has never had a home to miss or true emotions to feel? I don't mean to change the subject, but Pietro and I have never been to your African kingdom, T'Challa. Yes, could you tell us a little about it? Hmm. I suspect that the Vision and I are the recipients of a mild dose of mutant psychology, but thank you, Jarvis. But perhaps I do need to talk a bit more about home, about days long forgotten, about nights lost in time's shadow, and about the origin, one whom the outside world has called the Panther. Some of my story is known to the Fantastic Four, who were the first outsiders to visit my homeland. I told them of of our hidden jungle, one of the last unexplored pockets on the once dark continent, and of my father, T'Chaka, chief of all the Wakandas. One day, my father, I too shall be chieftain, and I shall be worthy of all you have taught me. But now it is bedtime for the littlest chieftain of all. He was a great man, my father, wise in counsel, just in judgment, and brave in battle. Wherever there was danger, there too was T'Chaka, always in the forefront. But the most formidable of all of his responsibilities as chieftain was the steward of our tribe's most prized possession. All hail T'Chaka, guardian of the eternal peak. The eternal peak, that sacred mound which has bordered the land of the Wakandas since the dawn of time. Come, my son, this day you must learn our tribe's deepest secret. Yonder flame has been burning since the day you were born. It is made of metal, taken from the sacred mound, the metal called vibranium. See how cool it is to the touch, how it absorbs heat, sound, all vibrations. Our store of this metal is precious, beyond belief to the outside world, and as chieftain, I must guard it with my life. The deadly irony of my father's words still ring in my ears, for it was not long afterward that the man named Claw came to our land. Claw, the master of sound, the evil one who possessed a weapon the like of which no man had ever seen, a weapon that could convert sound into mass. Vibranium, the one element I need to power my sound transformer, so that I may change the basic energy of sound into any living form I desire. But my father saw the evil in this man's heart and stood up to him. Begone, this land is ours, so speaks T'Chaka. Then T'Chaka shall speak no more. I still remember that deafening burst of gunfire, the first I ever heard. How it cut down my father in the prime of his manhood. How a boy became a man that day. I shall avenge you, Father Claw. Claw shall pay. This T'Challa vows. After this time, my closest, my only real companions were my childhood friend, Batamba. Come, T'Challa. You cannot stand forever outside our chieftain's tomb. Let us play. We must be men soon enough. You may play, Batumba. I must be a man now. And his father, Mbaza, you might call him a witch doctor, but he was my father's most trusted counsel. So you would be a man, would you? Then you must go to school in the outside world, that you may be a good one. Thus, with Mbaza as regent, I left the land of the Wakandas to study in the best schools in Europe and the Americas. Matamba was sent with me so that my loneliness would not be complete. We studied hard together, whether in the laboratory, the library, or in the fierce, clean competition of sports. But when we graduated at last, it was time to put aside the ways of the outer world and become that which I was born to be, chief of all Wakandans. Yet always over the years, a nagging suspicion dogged my tracks, haunted my moments of reverie. The suspicion that Abaza had simply wished to be rid of me for years while consolidating his own position of power. And indeed, on the day of my homecoming, all hail T'Challa, son of T'Chaka and guardian of the sacred mound. Hail, hail! You have studied long and well, T'Challa, and it would seem the mantle of your leadership is to be yours this day. But you must pass two final tests provided for by your father. First, you must defeat half a dozen of our finest warriors in hand-to-hand combat. I knew nothing of this test, but I stand ready. Mbaza had not made matters simple for me. The warriors chosen to battle me were more than a match for any single man. But the blood of T'Chaka and the desire for my vengeance throbbed beneath my temples, and so I triumphed. You have done well, T'Challa. Only one test remains. You shall learn of it on the morrow. But first, and what is that, Mbaza? You must pass a night of vigil in the temple of the Panther god. Only then shall you be cleansed and worthy to begin the final test of kingship. Then, because you say it was my father's will, I shall do as you command. That dark night passed on slow, leaden feet, and all through it my heart was filled with deep suspicions and black forebodings. When daybreak came, at last I learned Mbaza had sent Ntuba away, perhaps that I might have no champions among my own people still. I am ready, witch doctor. The land of the Wakandas was not then as some of you have seen it, Avengers. There was no mechanized jungle to shield our village from prying eyes yet. And Mbaza's staff struck a certain spot, a gigantic carven figure rose from a hidden silo. By the first lion of my father! My father had had the great statue built, Mbaza said, and so I entered it, not knowing what I might find there. And there, amidst computers so alien to the jungle setting, I found a panther-like costume, just where Mbaza said it would be. A million questions welled up within me as I donned those feline trappings and stood for the first time in the dark garb of the Black Panther. Then, as I emerged once more into the light of day, hail T'Chaka, hail T'Challa, son of T'Chaka. Now, at last, youth, you are ready. Then tell me, Mbaza, of the final test. On the reaches of the great plateau, near the very borders of our land, there grows a heart-shaped forbidden herb. You have but to eat of that herb, and then you shall truly be heir to the panther throne with powers like those of the great cat himself. Go now, and do not fail. Go now and do not fail. How those ominous words rang in my ears as I began my jungle quest. And for how could I fail unless there was a treachery in Mbaza's mind and murder in his powerful, lustful heart? Or did I judge him wrongly? And was this task merely the simplest of all? Though not yet possessed of true panther power, my strenuous upbringing served me well as I climbed hand over hand to the vast plateau on which I would find that certain heart-shaped herb. Long as the way and beset with wild beasts, then at last I arrived at my goal. But even as I had eaten of the sacred herb, I overheard voices here in this most isolated of regions. The sight I saw next as I stole to the edge of the clearing was one that belonged to a science fiction film rather than the jungle. A small futuristic refinery of some sort in it, half a dozen hooded, uniformed men, and beyond it, a craft such as I had never seen. Hurry, you fools! Your work here is done. Load the refined vibranium on the ship, and you shall depart for AIM headquarters. It cannot be it cannot be too soon for us, squadron leader. Our acronym title may stand for Advanced Idea Mechanics, but some of us still wish it had been assigned to Western Europe or US, not the heart of Africa. Advanced Idea Mechanics. In all my years abroad, I never heard of such a group, all of which makes their presence here all the more sinister. And they have been refining vibranium, which can only have been smuggled here from the Sacred Mound. I wonder if Nimbaza. Look, someone is spying on us from Checkpoint C. Then all the worse for him, squadron leader. Then, even as I realized with a start that the voices I heard were talking about me, the world about me seemed to suddenly explode, and I toppled helplessly forward, downward like a wounded bird. Yet not so helpless, not so stunned that I could not feel the sacred herbs working already within my system, giving my body a resiliency, a cat-like strength it had never known before. He still lives. Incredible. Even more incredible if he lives longer, 5 seconds longer. Slay him. Perhaps you will slay me and secure a tyrant's shaky throne, but not before I learn the answers to the questions which sear my heart like a torch. Who are you? And the strangely named group which employs you? Where are you taking the vibranium and to what evil purpose? And above all else, who is the Wakanda traitor who alone could have informed you of vibranium? Who? Here is your only answer. Swift death. Miss, impossible. So I would have thought until I partook a certain herb. First, he survived our mind blast. Now he evades capture, but he must be stopped if our mission here is not to become a costly failure. And he shall be stopped, squadron leader, by a taste of our portable Sonatron. The Sonatron, a name enough simple to decipher, a device utilizing the untapped power of high-frequency sound as a weapon, one far easier than to define than to escape. He is down at last. Watch him closely so he can't make a sudden move. It will be a while before I can do that. But I must know who masterminded this plot that would rob my people of their greatest treasure. Who? Who? Our squadron leader will reveal his identity to you at his own leisure. We hoped to be gone when you arrived, but you were here. Then you were warned of my coming. Nimbaza is the traitor, as I suspected. Yet what if other Wakandas followed my spoor and draw nearer with each breath? We know you were to journey here alone, son of T'Chaka. Besides, even a small quantity of vibranium is worth that risk. For our superiors at AIM have designed a rocket which may well beat both America and Russia to the moon. If its hull can be built of friction-resistant, vibration-absorbing vibranium or synthetic substitute. What's more, plans are already completed for the construction of a formidable space station on the rim of Earth's atmosphere. One which, if made of vibranium, would resist anything but a direct hit by the great powers of ballistic missiles. If you'll pardon the cliche, we've told you all this because you're going to die soon anyway. Not till I learn the name of our betrayer. Was it Mbaza, or is Claw your group's employer? Claw designed our Sonatron, dear T'Challa, but I am the one whom you would call traitor. You? Tumba? The Nimbaza is not a turncoat? My beloved father is a fool, too sentimental, too spineless, too grasp a throne or to hold it. I was recruited by AIM while still your college roommate. You can ask that. But you who bested me at every sport, every endeavor, you who recited every honor while my father forced me to be your lackey. But now you'll pay for this, for all those years I walked in your shadow. You'll pay. What? And you, Mutumba, will pay for the stepping between T'Challa and the guns of AIM, as well as for underrating the Panther powers given me by those heart-shaped herbs. Truly impressive. power's native sun. Let us see if they have made you immune to a medium frequency stun burst. No? Too bad, Panther, too bad indeed. It can only have been a few minutes later that I awoke, my unmasked faith dashed by death cold water. Open your eyes. I want to see the expression on your face when one of my men blasts you out of existence with a larger version of the weapon which aborted your futile attack. Should it really be one of us who takes his worthless life, Matemba? Do you wish the pleasure yourself, or are you too squeamish? Watch yourself, swine. Yes, I will kill him myself after you get your hand off my shoulder. I meant nothing by it, squadron leader, nothing at all. And then we were alone, Mutumba and all. Any last words, my old friend? If you expect to watch me cringe, then you'll die less happy than I. No, I suppose I didn't at that. Now make ready to die, Panther. Did you hear me? To die. Then pull that trigger, betrayer of Wakanda's. Pull it! Pull it! Pull it! An instant became a moment in eternity, and ha! As they say in America, ain't that a kick in the head? I can't do it. I just can't do it. Silence, a knife scraping my bones. Then, Mutumba, there is much we must talk about, you and I. When this business is done, old friend, then we can speak of years wasted, of ambitions that should never have been, but only after AIM has paid for the price of turning brotherly love into smoldering hatred, for transforming one's fool youthful folly into an instrument of death. Wah. If they do, it won't be because we pull a surprise attack. Someone has attached a monitoring device to your collar. What? Then that means that you have betrayed AIM for the first and last time. Did you think us stupid that they would trust one who betrayed his own people? Enough talk. We wanted vibranium, we have it. We do not need you any longer, squadron leader. Set blasters for lethal dosage. Ready, aim. You know what we must do, T'Challa. Our chances are slim, but we must strike. Now. But Mutumba was second best to me one final time. Then a rage welled up inside me, such as I had never known. It seemed to me that no longer was I merely T'Challa, son of T'Chaka, but rather I was indeed the jungle beast whose name and appearance I had taken. I was indeed a Black Panther. Muscles trained, reflexes honed to a fine point by years of athletics, and interacted with the mystery-shrouded panther herb to make me unstoppable, unconquerable. But when the last AIM agent had fallen, I realized how futile my newfound strength, how useless my cat-like prowess where it counted most. Mutumba, do not mourn for me, T'Challa. I was a greedy fool, got what I deserved. My father, innocent in all this, never wanted anything but good for you. Don't tell him I weakened, betrayed him. Please, please. I won't, Mutumba, I swear it. Any man can make a mistake. Mutumba. Yes, any man can make a mistake, but as tears welled up in glazed eyes, I knew that I had made more than one that day, and that long days, anguished nights would pass before I could forgive myself, as I had already forgiven him. And there you have it, my friends, an origin of sorts, but one I can scarcely point to with princely pride. One which returns to haunt me anew on certain nights when the silence grows deafeningly loud. Nothing but sad songs for us superheroes, is there? I lost a brother on one Caper Pietro, and Wanda were mutants and outcasts. The metal of the human spirit is forged upon the anvil of sorrow, Avenger. Thus hath it ever been, thus shall it ever be. But what of thy hidden tribe, T'Challa? It has been guided in my long absence by the wise hand of Mbaza, him who I wronged and whose son I was too blind to help until too late. But tonight I received a message that old Mbaza had died, and so I must soon decide whether to don once more the mantle of kingship or renounce it forever. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must be alone to think. There goes one great guy, but we all know the choice he's got to make. Like I said before, this Avenger's shtick gets in your blood. Once an Avenger, always an Avenger. You'll see. Ah, Goliath, Clint Barton, if only the tormented T'Challa possessed your easy assurance of things. If only he knew whether his destiny lay in the dual role of ghetto teacher and crime battling Panther, or as the only son and true heir of the greatest chieftain of all. How simple then to act, but now so hard, so very, very hard.